Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've recorded one of these, and that's totally my fault. I actually recorded one last week um, when the Reds called up Jesse Winker, and I spent a few minutes talking about that, and then basically right after I finished recording and started to edit the video, the Reds came out and basically said that Winker was going to go right back down. He wasn't going to play. So pretty much everything that I had talked about, they said was not going to happen. So I didn't get anything up last week. But, something really interesting happened last night in Mobile. So I thought it'd be a good time to sit down and record another one of these and talk about the perfect game that Tyler Mahle threw last night. It's his second no-hitter that he's thrown in the last 2 years. He threw one last year in Daytona, where the only batter that reached was on a controversial hit pitch, or hit batter. He claims, and pretty much everybody in the organization claims, that it was a foul ball. I'm sure that they've looked back at the video and seen that it actually did go off of the guy's bat rather than off of the player himself. But nonetheless, in the record books, it's a no-hitter. He ended up facing the minimum in that game, but last night he needed all of 88 pitches to throw a perfect game against the Mobile Bay Bears. He had 8 strikeouts. The last pitch of the game, now this is unconfirmed. At this point, I have reached out to try and get some sort of confirmation on this, but I've seen it from several different sources that the last pitch of the game was either 99 or 100 miles per hour. That would definitely be harder than I've ever seen Tyler throw before. The highest I've seen before that was 97 miles an hour. He usually doesn't throw quite that hard, but he definitely has some upper 90s velocity in there every now and again. So that would definitely be a big surprise. You got to imagine he had adrenaline pumping big time with that last batter. He even said after the game that he just threw that pitch as hard as he could. So, it wouldn't surprise me if he did touch, a higher end velocity like that. But at this point, it's definitely unconfirmed. But I am trying to see if I can track down somebody who can confirm what the actual velocity of that pitch was. Not that it really matters. I mean, what the guy's done has been absolutely incredible. Last season, he kind of struggled down the stretch in Pensacola. I'm not sure if it was just him, needing time to make the adjustment, or maybe he was just wearing down a little bit in hot August weather after a long season. But he's been absolutely dominant so far this year for Pensacola. Last night was just the icing on the cake. I don't think that he's going to spend the entire year with the Blue Wahoos this year, but I think he'll probably stick around a little bit longer with them, even though he's been pitching very, very well early on. Maybe get a promotion at some point in June, early July if he continues to pitch well. We'll see how that goes. But right now he's definitely doing everything he can to get out of Pensacola and get up to Louisville. Another guy that made some news this morning, actually, was Ariel Hernandez, also with Pensacola, but now with the Cincinnati Reds. They recalled him earlier today. They optioned down Luis Alberto Bonilla back to AAA. He pitched very well in long relief yesterday for the Reds of Cody Reed. But, Ariel Hernandez it's such a great story. He had spent time with 2 different major league organizations in the minor leagues and, never made it out of A-ball. And even when he was in A-ball, he really, really struggled. He went and pitched independent league baseball for a short period of time. And then he was able to re-sign with a major league organization. Huge control problems. His walk rate was 9 batters per 9 innings pitched. So basically, he's walking a guy every inning he took the mound. That's not going to cut it. The Reds took a chance on him in the December of 2015 in the AAA version of the Rule 5 draft. The guy has an incredible arm. I really do say this and mean it. Like, it's the best pure arm I've ever seen. Now, I've only been covering minor league baseball for, 11 years now. But I've never seen a guy that has the pure raw stuff that Ariel Hernandez has. Now, I will add the caveat there that while I did see Aroldis Chapman pitch in the minor leagues, when I did see him, he was starting. And so he wasn't quite the guy that we see today. But Even when Chapman was starting, Hernandez looked better. This stuff is better. Um, but he has been in Double A this year. He's thrown 8 innings. He's got 14 strikeouts. He's given up 1 run. He's walked 4 batters, which that's an improvement versus what he did last year when he made big strides and cut down on his walk rate. But 2 of those walks came in the first game of the season. So in his last 7 innings, he's walked 2 guys. I'm not sure how long he's going to be up with the Reds. It might just be, to give them a fresh arm for a couple of days, and then they'll make another move. I'm not sure exactly what their plan is. The Reds don't seem to be the kind of organization that calls guys straight up from Double A and lets them hang around. But at the same time, Hernandez might have the best pure arm in that bullpen right now, and that includes, guys like Iglesias and Lorenzen. I mean, his stuff really is that good. If he goes up there and he pitches well in a few outings that he may get, maybe they won't send him back down. So that'll be interesting to see. Personally, I just want to see the TrackMan data that he produces when he does take them out to make his major league debut. I've heard some rumors over the past year and a half on him as far as what he can do. With various things that you're only going to find out in the TrackMan data. But I guess I won't bore you with that too much, but it's exciting for me. I want to touch on 2 other guys that have kind of been out to really good starts this season. Down in Daytona, Tanner Rainey, 2nd-round pick a couple years ago. The Reds tried him out as a starter last year in Dayton. Did not go very well for him. The first week of August, they decided to put him in the bullpen and see what happens. Absolutely dominated for the last 3 weeks of the season in Dayton as a reliever last year. Cut down on his walk rate, which was a huge problem for him as a starter. Started throwing more strikes, started missing more bats, less runs, less hits. He was very, very good last year for the last 3 weeks when he made the move to the bullpen. Went to Daytona this year, and he has been... it's arguably been the best player in the organization. He started out the season with 7 near-perfect innings. The only blemish against him was when an outfielder dropped a routine fly ball, and it went down as an error. That was the only base runner he gave up in the first 7 innings he had thrown, and he had struck out 16 of the 22 batters that he faced with no walks, no hit batters, nothing. Absolute, total domination. He did take them out the other night and wound up giving up a solo home run, the first hit that he had given up all year. But we're talking about a guy who throws in the upper 90s with a very good breaking ball. If he's going to start throwing strikes, or I guess at this point continue throwing strikes like he has been, with that kind of arm, he's going to fly through the system. I don't want to say that we may see him this year in the big leagues because it's a long way from Daytona to Cincinnati, but he's got that back of the bullpen kind of arm, and especially with the way the Reds are using their bullpen, these guys that can throw multiple innings. While he's only been used in 1 inning stints as a reliever so far, he does have that history as a starting pitcher to fall back on a little bit. So he's definitely a guy who, could probably go out there and give you 2 innings every other day. Kind of fill somewhat of that same kind of role that Iglesias or Lorenzen have been used as, or I guess the way that they've been used by Brian Price. So that's a guy that you definitely want to keep an eye on if you're kind of, really looking deep down in the system for somebody to follow. Now, the last guy I want to talk about today, and I'll try and keep this as short as possible, is Juan Perez. He's a infielder in Louisville. He's got some time in the outfield as well. He probably not a guy you want to play in center field too often, but he has some experience out there, and he's not a super fast guy, but he's not slow. He's definitely an above-average runner. Probably stretched a little bit in center field, but I think that looking at him more as a utility kind of player, you can be okay with that. He's not going to be a guy you're going to play there every day, but he can definitely play all around the infield, and he's got some experience in the outfield as well. And he's off to a great start at the plate this year for the Louisville Bats. He's got 4 home runs already. He only hit 6 all of last year. I don't think power is going to be a big part of his game, but he definitely has some power to work with. I think he's got double-digit power in his bat. But with the way that the Reds bench has been playing so far, specifically with Arizmendi, Alcantara. You know, it may be a situation where if Alcantara does not turn things around, both offensively and defensively, that Juan Perez could be a guy that they look at to fill that role at some point this season. He's got the defensive versatility, and he's got an idea of what to do at the plate, and he's off to a great start. So definitely a guy that I would probably keep an eye on, especially if the Reds bench continues to struggle with the way that it has been. The team has not been shy with calling up pitchers and sending guys down. Now, they can't send Alcantara down. He is out of options. But if he continues to struggle, the team has shown that they're quick to make moves if they feel it's going to improve the team this season. So that's a move that I keep an eye on. Perez is not on the 40-man roster at this point, but if they are going to replace Alcantara, it's going to open up a 40-man roster spot anyways, because you can't send him down. You'd have to put him through waivers. But that's all I've got for today. Hopefully, the next time I sit down and record one of these, pretty much half of it doesn't get erased 5 minutes later by something that the Reds say and makes it useless. But if you like this, hit the subscribe button. We put up videos of the players. Interviews at least once a week. We put up some sort of video of the Reds minor leaguers, so hit the subscribe button and you'll get updated whenever that kind of stuff goes up. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.